Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Tony Sirianni podcast. I am thrilled to have my friends from And Partners here with us, Kristi Mitchem, David Kowach, and John Alexander, the three co-founders of the firm, and really nice people if you haven't met them. So welcome to the show, gang. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks,
Thanks
Tony.
for having us.
You are welcome. So when you guys were first, thinking about this, we talked a little bit on the phone, and I remember saying because you were so enthusiastic and you had such a good plan. I thought it was really you were on the right track, and I said, "Be careful what you wish for." So now it's happened. So what are you thinking now that what you sort of talked about a couple of years ago is now sort of come true?
I think it's been
Yeah.
great. Go ahead, John.
No, it's amazing. I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
We had a lot of encouragement, but you never know until you get the balloon in the air. It's been amazing.
Yeah, you don't know. David, you recall that as well?
I do. And I recall a nervousness for all, we'd grown up working at big firms
Yeah.
our whole career. So there's some comfort in the bigness of those firms and some security in the bigness of those firms.
Course. And then look, it's sort of everything started to gel, Kristi, when you came along then. So that sort of made the band sort of really start to play pretty well. So what are your thoughts on sort of where it's how we've gotten where we've gotten?
Well, I mean, it's been just a fantastic journey. You said, be careful what you wish for. I mean, I would say for me, it's been a wish come true. I mean, I work with two amazing people to lead the firm. And I think we've been just so gratified at how many people and advisors have chosen to join us. And, I've never worked anywhere like And Partners, and it's just such an amazing place to be.
You get that feeling when you talk to the guys who are at the firm too. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, you guys are good looking, but you're not that good looking. So what do you think? What do you think is driving people to want to say, "Yeah, this is the place I want to be"?
It did take a long time to plan and build it. I mean,
Yeah, it did.
we spent a lot of time sort of doing, in my words, self-reflective analysis of what is it that we thought that went right for us over the years, and what is it that if we actually could hit a redial or replay switch, what could we have done differently?
Well, I think it's one thing to sort of say, hey, things have been going along for a certain way, and I see things are wrong, right? But what's been interesting to me about what you guys have been able to do is that the industry has changed a lot since you made your plans, right? I mean, you made these initial plans saying, hey, we could do better than what these guys are doing. I get it, right? So it's almost, I don't want to say that's easy, but it's easy, right? Because you know what you don't like. And today, the structures of firms have shifted and changed. You've got advisors thinking about equity and enterprise value in a way they didn't 5 years. Dave, when you ran those days, people weren't thinking like that, right? They just weren't. And today they are. So now you've structured the firm in such a way that it's been flexible. But so where do you think, as of today, that looks like?
I think, Tony, I'd start there by saying from the very beginning, we never tried to build what we had in the
Right.
past. We were forward looking, sort of future focused, and we used our relative experience of in bigness as a guidepost around, hey, this was actually great about being big. This was not so great about being big. I think that gave us a good foundation. But when you start thinking about how much the business has changed, how much technology has democratized who can be in the business today, and how good these custodians have become, and how accessible product is now, not just for the core client, but for the high net worth client in a lot of ways. And I think that John Christie and I figured this out early. Um, the bigness might have been a bigger disadvantage than it was an advantage, though in almost a completely different way than what we were doing when we were rolling up firms from 1992 to 2008, 2009.
And Kristi, when you think about sort of this Dave was talking about technology, right? So you see, some of the technology that's coming is actually, scary for some people, or it's an unknown. So we have a business, as David mentions, constantly changing. Now we have this sort of unknown, with AI and what's that going to be? I mean, honestly, if you're sitting on a Senate committee, why couldn't a senator say, "Hey, you ran this 401k through AI. Why do you get a commission?" Right? And at the same time, they could say, "Hey, you didn't run this through AI. Now you could be sued, right? You can come down on both sides of it." So it's sort of a concern. And from a position of scale, how do you think that affects a smaller firm? I mean, is it good because you're flexible and whatever, or do you feel like you need more size for something like that?
I would say it's good because you're flexible. I mean, I think that we are able to quickly understand where the environment is going from a technological perspective and adapt technologies that are tested and make sense for our client base. Some of those obviously incorporate AI, some of them don't. But I think we've been able to put together, one of the best tech stacks in the industry because we get to pick and choose. And remember, I grew up at a large firm. John grew up at a large firm. David ran, a business that had 15,000 advisors. And, I remember you'd get your tech budget and you'd get so excited with this big headline number. But then you'd realize that you were spending to 80 to 90% of your tech dollars putting gum and paper clips on a system that was
That is
built
all.
30 years ago. And so what we've done at And Partners is we've really turned that run versus build ratio on its head. So we spend our tech dollars actually advancing the technology that we can offer to clients and to advisors instead of trying to retrofit an old system to a new tech reality.
It's one of the concerns, Kristi, when advisors are leaving a large firm coming to a small firm. It's, what are my clients going to come with me? That's obviously, but they worry about, is there going to be a diminution in products and services and technology, right? I mean, that's clearly something they worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have, John help me answer this question as well. But I remember very early on talking to John and David, and they were saying, "Listen, Kristi, we can't ask advisors to come join us at And Partners unless we are demonstrably better than the reality they have today." Right. And it's not just about ownership. It's not just about its alignment. It's about better service and better technology and better approaches to compliance and supervision.
So
Yeah, and I would love to weigh in on that because David mentioned this before. We took a long time to build a place. I think, Tony, you know this. It was like 15 or 16 months building the platform before we ever onboarded a single advisor. And we did that on purpose because it's a really bad value proposition to go to people that you've known maybe in the industry or for 10 or 15 or 20 years and say, "Hey, everything over here is going to be a little bit inferior to what you have, but we're good. We're a lot of fun and it's going to feel good." I mean, that's a really bad
yeah,
value
it's
prop,
interesting
right?
because that's it's reputationally, you guys had a great reputation, still do, right? And but had a lot of friends in the business. But I think it was remarkable the way you did go about it because that doesn't it can translate into some success, but you don't want to let your friends down either at the same
Oh,
time.
It
totally.
actually creates an enormous amount of pressure.
It
It
does.
does.
It does.
And it has to be objectively better.
Right.
It can't be, let me convince you it's
Right.
better. And I think that the amazing thing about the change in the industry, Tony, and you probably saw this before we did, is all of the technology, all the product innovation, all the innovation by the custodians have enabled you to go out and create something like this, which was born out of the possibility that, oh, you could build something for advisors that was totally great.
Yeah.
And the advisors can own it, which is totally great.
Well,
And, that to me is part of the special sauce around here.
so John, let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about this ownership,
Yeah.
because look, the biggest, uh, again, different than it was certainly 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Advisors are concerned about things like enterprise value and equity, and they want to sort of align with firms. Look, they're voting with their feet, and they're voting for firms that have equity, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I think there's a sometimes a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. They don't ask the right questions. If their clients were investing in something, they'd ask a million questions. When they come to invest in a firm, they're like, I like these guys. I'm going to come in. So just tell me a little bit about, because you guys have had tremendous success. I think we buried the lead a little bit here. Is it 30? But what's the number that we brought in, Kristi? How many billion? So
50.5 billion.
So
By the end of the
that's a
year
lot.
and recruited T12. I mean, and recruited AUM. Yeah.
Because I used to think that, the firms that I started were among the fastest growing ever, but you guys are faster than we were. So that's congratulations on that. It's a big deal.
I
But
don't
so
think it's so much congratulations as it is um, sort of we got some of the big decisions right. Like
yeah,
congratulations, there's a finish line. And here, we ask ourselves every day, what do we got to do to continue to make it better every day?
I'm gonna get to that question too, David, because there's going to be a what's next before before we're done. But
Yeah.
John, give me a little bit about the equity and the sort of the value prop and what you're seeing out there with advisors and
Yeah, I think that I think that we're not dumb people, right? But some things you get right for a different reason than what you kind of the way it worked out, right? And so when we decided to launch this, like I've been at this for almost 4 years now, Tony. And so when we decided to launch it, what we wanted was partners, right? And one of the things I think that you see happen a lot of times, and it goes to, I read your article on culture wars, and it goes to how you finance the firm to begin with. A lot of the things you get right up front. And so the way we financed the firm, we wanted to raise enough capital to be strong and to be able to scale quickly, but we didn't want to lose control because we thought that to the people that wanted to be our partners, it would be important to them to know the decision makers.
yeah.
And so what that led us to was this idea that we're going to broadly distribute the equity. We're going to raise capital from the management team and from friends and family, and we're going to have control and we're going to broadly distribute the equity. We're not going to hoard it. And that way, every advisor team that comes on, and ultimately we'll have 160, 170 teams, they all are like significant equity owners where it's very important to them.
Right.
And we felt like if we did that, then you'd have everybody pulling in the same direction. And if this worked, then everybody would do really well instead of just maybe the three of us hoarding the equity and doing extremely well, right?
And I guess part of what, and we talked about that article a little bit. Part of my contention was that there's always these new bad guys, and this short term investment in a firm, and advisors need to understand that a lot of these guys that come in, they have a 5 or 7 year timeline, and that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a gun to your head if you gotta
Yeah.
refinance, you gotta repay, but whatever, and it could become a debilitating cycle.
No, totally. And we kind of saw that. And there are a lot of ways it could have gone, and it's tempting when somebody offers to give you a
Very
big
tempting.
check, right? But part of it was we're really dogmatic about what we believe in, and it's a little stubbornness that if it's not going to be the right way, then we're not going to do it. And so we took 16 months, we did it the right way, and now we have broadly distributed equity where all of the advisors are partners. And obviously, as Kristi said, $50 billion in assets later, and we're still growing really, really quickly, then that's going to pay off for people.
That's a
Um,
little bit of a
David,
test for the past too, Ace, from
yeah,
my
totally.
vantage point. Like if you think, Tony, about how we grew our old firm,
yeah,
it was all through acquisition.
yeah.
And we watched these family-run businesses or employee-owned companies, and the culture that they had was great. Um, I thought the idea of starting something and going to private equity and saying, "Hey, you guys fund it and you own it," versus the employees. Gosh, I thought that's been done before. Um, you know,
Oh, yeah, there's also an element of you guys are experienced managers with something. I think that's a real benefit because I think firms can get in a pickle. You can grow faster than you think, and you need the capital, and you kind of got to go where you got to go. You know what I mean? And look, for me, taking money was always a compromise. There's some sort of compromise on getting the money somewhere. There just has to be, and you need to explain it to the people who come to the firm, which is of course not always done.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I
So
think that, I do just want to underscore a point that David made because I think it is actually really, really important. And it's a great lesson, I think, for other people who want to start independent firms because it is one of the things that I think we did really right. In addition to broadly distributing our equity, we raised enough capital to start the business and build the business in the right way. Right. So that as we grew, we had the scale to be able to support advisors and deliver on this commitment to best in class service from the very first advisor that joined us. Now, that's not to say that we got everything perfectly right for advisor number one or even advisor number two, three, four, or five, right? We were constantly improving, but we built a sustainable architecture that could really support us to grow at a very, very rapid pace. And I think that was really a critical decision. And I think it's one of the things, again, that has made us successful, but it's also one of the things that or lessons that I think we can share with others who may want to try something similar.
I also think one of the things that I feel great about, I know you do too, is 105 practices in whatever, $50.5 billion in assets, almost $370 million in revenue. And we see momentum
Building.
increase.
well, yeah, so that begs the question. Look, capital is the cause of and solution to all of our problems, right? But you see this. I want to talk, David, about what's next. So now we talked about how the firm is growing. You've positioned the firm in such a way, and you've been lucky and good, right? There's a lot of things that have happened in the marketplace beyond your control that's sort of been in our favor, right? Our favor being the sort of independent building a business side. But what's next? And as you see, and I guess for each one of you, sort of what's next, and then how would you tweak the firm in order to get there, or you don't have to, you're positioned well. I mean, what's happening from your point of view, Dave, in 5 years that you want to think about, worried about, happy about?
Tony, I think we're playing a long game here.
Yeah.
We're in this business to run this business. In a business that's employee owned, highly distributed ownership, hyper focused on excellence across all of our functions, product functions, advice functions, service functions, technology functions. And the recruiting results are just an output, I think, of that focus on doing things the right way. So if you say to me, John or Kristi, what do we think's next? I think all of us say, what's next is what's now.
Right.
Run it the right way, build it the right way, hire the right people, have the right partners, make sure you're executing well on your plan. That to me is the right focus. And that's what I believe.
Kristi, how about you?
I think that's right. I might borrow a phrase from John because it's one of my favorites. He's like, you got to put the first things first, right? And for us, the first thing right now is to make sure that the advisors that have joined us and their clients have a strong experience at And Partners. As you know, Tony, I run the investment side of And Partners, so I spend a lot of time thinking about product construction, thinking about markets. And if you're asking me what I'm focused on right now, it's making sure that our clients are prepared for what I think could be a fairly sort of challenging market dynamic coming off such an amazing bull run over the next several years. So making sure they're well diversified, making sure that they've thought about the potential range of investment outcomes that could occur. So that's where I'm spending a lot of my time, and I'm excited by it. And I think the other thing I would just sort of underscore that I think we have to keep constant and present within our organization is something that I think defines us, which is this extraordinary will to serve advisors. And I think the three of us try very, very hard to make sure that we are illustrating to all of our employees our will to serve and helping to inculcate that as a part of our culture at And Partners.
I'm smiling. I'm smiling because, Kristi, I'm thinking same minute response. Like it's
Yeah, you have same minute response. I was reading an RFP at 5:30 this morning for an advisor that we were helping him craft. It is, Again, I think one of the things that happens sometimes when you work for very large organizations is that you get so divorced from the people that are actually at the coalface making it happen for clients. And that's one thing that we never want to have happen here at And Partner.
That's the fun of being the size you are too.
That is the fun of it, and it is a thrill.
And
So John,
I think that's a key, Tony. I think of it like Goldilocks. You don't want to be too small and you don't want to be too big. And so like I said before, we'll end up with 160, 170 partner teams, like big equity owners. And in a few, 3, 4 years, that's $1 billion in top line, which may be enough, right? It
yeah,
doesn't have to be 10 billion because you don't want to sacrifice what got you there. And people like to talk about culture. And for us, culture is actually, what Kristi and David just talked about. It's not just about how it feels and like we're all, partners. It's everything. Like culture is excellence as well, right? It's like you perform, you execute at a really, really high level. And we're all, a sports analogy, we're all first and 10 type people.
yeah.
It's we're not huge celebrators. We made a first down. That's yay, but we've got to make the next first down.
So
And
you're
so
Got a
it's
field in front of us.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So Johnny, so you're so all that being said, you heard from your partners. So 3 years from now, you're going to dump it, right, and sell the whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we built this thing
have
like
done
we
it.
were going to dump it and sell it. We would have set it up totally different. The idea all along was to build something like the word that I came up with that it just comes up to me. You don't hear this all the time these days is enduring. We're building something that is enduring. And, I'm the oldest out of the three. I'm the old dude. But we have a management team, like a really strong leadership team that are like all the way down into their 40s and 30s. And so the idea is that this thing is going to go on and on and on and be a really, really special place but not just special because it feels good, but special because it's excellent in every way and the financial results are fantastic.
But
That's the
Tony,
Goldilocks thing.
go back and think when Jim Wheat sold Wheat First,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
firm changed.
yeah.
And
Oh God.
when Jim Boris sold Everin Securities, the firm changed. And when Ben Edwards sold
Yeah,
Hank
yeah.
Edwards, the firm changed. And we watched all of that in, I'd say, the past paradigm. Like think about what the three of us have experienced together. We actually started when I came to the firm, we had 500 advisors. We grew it to 15,000. We didn't do that because we were super smart, or we did it because we had a really good plan that set out to do acquisitions and create scale. And I think then we got to a point where we said, oh my goodness, is all that scale good or bad for us? Oh, look at that. It might be worse for us than what we originally intended. Did we lose focus on greatness?
Yeah,
And
sacrifice for scale, right?
that's right. This gave us a chance to redo it. And if we were going to build it to flip it, John said it, the structure would have been completely different. We're running a long-term company that can have sustainable value for its employee owners by clipping a dividend for years, and they're all multi-generational too.
Right.
Practices that own the company are all
Yeah,
multi-generational.
well, no, that's important because I think that when for advisors to come and they want to attach, they want to be involved as partners. They want to understand that this is a forever home, right? And they're going to get they clip coupons, however you want to say it, but it's a long-term building wealth for them and their families, right? And their businesses. That's
Well, yeah, and you also like the other thing is this really interesting is they're all doing better. Like when I was at a big firm, I heard that smaller firms, the advisors tended to grow faster, and I didn't know if that was true. What I found out is that it is true. But they also, at some point, people might want access to liquidity. So we have great partners that have come in and offered, a really, really nice multiple for our original investors. It's not going to surprise you because you've been in this space for a long, long time,
yeah,
right? So I do think it's kind of like we're in a really, really sweet spot
yeah.
where we're big enough to matter. but we're small enough to get all the little things right. And I think it's a great place to be in the market.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that. So believe it or not, we're over 20 minutes. I think that's a high note. So I want to end on a high note. Anything that I didn't ask anybody that they really want to say, because I'm happy to listen. We're all good.
I think there's nothing wrong with big, by the way. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with the big firms, by the way.
Well,
I
listen,
love
the place,
my-
Dave, a lot of guys are happy there. There's no
Yeah.
question about it.
Totally. I was happy
And
there.
your firm is not going to be for everybody. You're talking
No,
about 60 or 70
totally.
teams. So you got to have alignment with the guys.
That's exactly right. That's the thing that is so different today, is that there's choices
Yeah.
for people. And you can be happy at a big firm, and you can be happy at a small firm, and you can do great things for a client at a big firm, and you do great things for a client at a small firm. I personally, I love what we're doing right now, in part because I work with awesome people.
That's it. Now that's the high note. We're leaving it on that. That's good stuff. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, guys. It's a lot of fun to have
Thank you.
and we'll do this again.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thanks,
great.
Tony.